Welcome or welcome back to my book channel. My name is Lady Lauren Explorer, and we are still in my room at my parents' house. And I finished a book that kind of hits close to home for me, and it's a very emotional read, but it's called Edinburgh by Alexander Chi, and this is like very like trigger warnings. This story is told in like a third to first person. I should start with a summary. You have Fee. He is a Korean American child who's very like talented at singing. He goes to join like this young boys choir, all boys choir, and makes good friends. His best friend then joins the choir, and we find out that their choir director has been SAing the boys for a while. Fee is one of the boys, and it doesn't get resolved until one day another boy who the choir director had never tried anything with, because that boy doesn't really fit his criteria of like what he wants in a child. That sounds so weird. He comes in to his room and finds the choir director like nude, waiting for Fee's best friend to come. But Fee's best friend was with him, and they just decided to like kind of just get away from what's happening at this camp and go to a parking lot and just sleep underneath a car. So the boy then thinks this is really weird. And also there's another child in the next bed who's like asleep. But like he thought the kid was dead until like, he looked and saw the kid's chest was moving, and the choir director told him that he had gave the child a herbal tea and made him just go like sleep, like knock out. So then this child then runs out the room to his friend's room, locks the door, and calls his parents. His parents call 911, and that is the end of this very tragic situation that's been happening at this choir camp. Some years later, while they're in their teens, Fee starts losing his friends slowly but surely. And these friends are all the friends who were essayed by the choir director. First, oh my gosh, first is his best friend, who they had some kind of interaction. They had like love for each other, but Peter, his friend, just couldn't give Fee what he needed. And Peter was just not handling being alive well after all this. So Peter spends one great night with his best friend, and Peter wants to have like this Dungeons and Dragons game that lasts like throughout the night. And before Fee leaves, Peter says that he wants a picture of this, like, to capture this moment. And he does. And then he takes the picture and he gives it back to Fee. And he tells Fee that he wants him to remember this moment because he's happy. Then Fee goes home, and Peter writes a couple of notes, and goes to the petrol station, gets some petrol, and then lights himself on fire. That's the first of many of Fee's friends' deaths. We have another friend who, while he is in college, he comes home and that friend spends some time with him. And before he's supposed to leave the next day to go back to college, the friend asked him to come over to the greenhouse where he usually is, where they usually hang out at. And Fee at first doesn't want to, but he realized that this is probably like the last time he's going to see his friend for a minute. So yeah, I'll spend some time with him. And when he finally agrees, that friend then like just walks around his house one final time, and grabs a shotgun and some shot shells, goes to the greenhouse and unalives himself in the greenhouse. And a couple hours later, Fee finds him. So as like Fee's going through all these deaths, he's questioning himself as well. He was gay before the molestation happened. The trauma from it just made everything a little bit too uncomfortable for him. So he had been trying to deal with the SA that happened when he was younger, that kind of ruined singing for him, to the deaths of like his friends and some very close friends, and then questioning love. All this stuff is going on in this book. This is like very triggering for me because I'm a SA survivor. Having read this, I don't have any regrets. What's crazy is like I didn't cry while reading this. I felt a sense of self. I understood some of their thought processes, especially Fee, when he is trying to continue to stay alive while wanting to die. I dealt with that a lot. And then we slowly get into another character named Warden. And Warden, we find out that he is slowly questioning himself because he has a girlfriend, but he is kind of having a crush on Fee, who is now in his like late 20s, early 30s. And I was trying to figure out who this character was because it's not brung up in the synopsis. But then you slowly start getting clues about him and his background. And we find out that Warden is Fee's tormentor's son. As a story of like when they were younger, you find out like his name is Big Eric. Big Eric had a family, had a foster child, and also had a child on the way. And that child on the way was Aiden, Warden. He never knew what his father was because he grew up with his grandparents. He just knew that his father and mother were in prison. His father was imprisoned for something heinous, and his mother was imprisoned for being accomplice to the something heinous. But his grandparents never said what it was until now. I don't know how old Warden is. I know he is in his late teens, almost 17, 18, but not quite. But he is having a crush on Fee and starting to question himself, like I said. But Fee is now starting to accept a lot of things that are happening in his life. He has a new relationship. He has friends. And he's starting to go back to his old friends who were a part of this very traumatic experience at this choir camp, kind of like trying to be at peace. Then Warden comes in and kind of warps it. I want to say that like there is closure, because there kind of is closure at the end of this, especially for Fee, even though I don't think he feels like it's closure. For Warden, there isn't like absolute closure. He finds out who his father is and what his father did, but he doesn't actually know that it's because like that Fee was a part of it. And Fee has his like last instance of ideation. I don't want to give too much away because I think this needs to be read as like ambiguous as it is. I gave you like what like hit hard for me because it did. But I think going into this, you just need to have that this is a survival's point of view. There is underlining things that are happening with Fee and like his worldly views of like being alive, and like acceptance. Yeah, I think acceptance and finding that peace is what this to me is really about. It was very disheartening though. The ending is very ambiguous, but you kind of know that Fee and the ending are good. No, there is like no death for Fee, but how it ended, you kind of assumed that, or it's heavily implied that yes, everything's okay. It took me a minute to get into this because of how this is written. This always reminds me of like being an introspective point of view. So sometimes you'll get it in first person introspective. Other times you'll get it in third person introspective. Fee is the main character and you're following him and you know that like you're in his mind sometimes, or sometimes you're out of his mind, but you can hear his thoughts. I hope I said that right. But yeah, this was, I don't know what to rate it. I think I would rate it a 4. Again, this has like, he is a pedophile. The tormentor is a pedophile. So like you have to keep that in mind. And this is about the trauma and the residual effects of being a survivor of this. Oh my gosh, yeah. So like I don't know how I want to end this. I can't, like, this is not I think this book was for me to read and just me to talk. So yeah, I think that I'm just gonna end it like that. I don't know if I would recommend this. If this sounds appealing to you, then I would go for it. But again, this is very heavy on the Pete kind of thing and death, S-word, and ideations, and then obviously the acceptance and like the healing somewhat. But yeah, that is it. Like I can't end on another note than that. My name is Lady Lauren Explorer. I post a video Monday. Wow, I can't talk now. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and sometimes Sunday. So please be subscribed so you can see when I am posting. I hope you all have a wonderful new beginning, because it's after the new year, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!